I got to see Dan Gable wrestle, and he was the big name. But for me personally, I wrestled Chuck Jean from Iowa State, who obviously was pretty good. He was a national champion as a freshman and a sophomore at Iowa State, and then had to leave school for some unfortunate reasons. Then he was a two-time national champion at Adams State. I wrestled Ben Peterson from Iowa State, who was an All-American as a sophomore and then a two-time national champion and an Olympic gold medalist. I wrestled Jeff Baum, who was a two-time national champion from Oklahoma State. One of the scariest guys I wrestled was my freshman year was Jim Dushin from Iowa State, and he was an All-American but was not a national champion. Ben Peterson came along then the next year and ended up having a much better career than Dushin did. But Dushin was just such a physically intimidating guy, and he was a senior when I was a freshman when I wrestled him. One of my favorite stories about just actually wrestling involves him. They were wrestling us in a duel in Manhattan, and we were in a Hearn field house. And of course, we hadn't won a match, and I just kind of had the attitude. When I saw him getting taped up before the match, the blood vessels in his arms were bigger than my arms. And this is the guy who had knocked the wind out of my older brother with a tight waist ride the year before. So I know what I'm up against. So I thought, what the heck? I've got nothing to lose. So I had a pretty good single leg takedown still. Hadn't lost that yet. So we're in the first period, and I shoot a really good single leg takedown, and I got around behind him and got him down. I don't know how I did that, but he went down on his hands and knees like you would in a referee's position, and I came up on his right side. And it was just like we were in referee's position. I had grabbed a hold of his right arm, and I had my hand raised, and here I am with this behemoth, and 190 pounder, and he took his right arm, and I'm right here. He just reached around and he just kind of pushed me as he reached, and he reached across my back and grabbed this hip right here with his right hand, and then he just pulled me in a circle till I was underneath him, and it was like my knees were squeaking as I turned this circle, and I'm thinking, what in the world is this? This is not a wrestling move. What is he doing? And now that's a 2-point reversal, and I'm thinking, how am I supposed to wrestle this guy? And so he didn't maul me. He took it easy on me. He beat me, obviously, but I just thought, what am I supposed to do? He was so much stronger than I was. So those are some of my memories of wrestling the really, really good guys. I wrestled Peterson twice. My first match with him was my junior year. He was a junior, and it was like a 5-2 match, and he was a national champion that year. And then when I wrestled him as a senior, he pinned me in the Big 8 tournament. So, but to me, he was the big version of Dan Gable. He wrestled like Gable. He was just constantly in motion, and he was constantly trying to pin you.